Hello and welcome back to Four Score Sports, your play-by-play source. I'm Christian, and this is Spencer and Michael and Nick joined alongside me. Today we got a really good one today. Today we're going to be talking about Trey Lance and the Cowboys, our season predictions for the NFL season, and we're going to segue right into the MLB Recap for this upcoming playoff push as we enter into...
Hear me out.
Huh?
I want to talk about the Niners and Trey Lance real quick. I want to go over this because I have quite a bit to say here.
Can I just get the rest of? Can I get the rest of this in?
No. Let's work on this.
Okay.
So, to say I am disappointed would be a massive understatement. I'm disappointed in this front office, our GM, all of it. I do not know what Kyle and John were thinking about this. I have been a fan for over a decade, and I have not ever been this aggravated. We have been ridiculed for weeks upon weeks about not giving Lance playing time, not doing anything, and to trade him like this, absolute debauchery. This team should be made fun of, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So, okay, we need to trade Lance. Let's, get rid of him. Doesn't want to be QB3. Fair. Where do we send him? Dallas. The Dallas Cowgirls. Of all teams, Dallas. One of our most historic rivals and laughing stock of the league. And we give them Trey Lance for a 4th round pick? Are you fucking kidding me? Someone we traded 3 first rounds for and gave a total of 4 games to develop, gone like that. Just what why? What's the angle there? Who thought about that? But I want to say this. I know Trey Lance probably isn't listening. He probably will never know about this, but I feel bad for the kid. I truly feel sorry that he had such high expectations thrown upon him, and it was tossed away just as fast. He got a small opportunity and was injured, and then was placed behind Sam Darnold for the QB3 position. So I completely understand his position on wanting to be traded, but it is unreal that you would put him behind Sam Darnold. And then let's talk about Kyle and John. What the fuck were they thinking? These last 3 years have been an absolute shit show in the quarterback department. Let's talk about it. So there's Jimmy. Okay, Jimmy wins games. Great, does his job. But we know he gets injured. It's every other season. It's a torn ACL, a dislocated ankle. It's something with him. Okay, fine. Trey Lance, we draft him. Project quarterback, we'll establish it. Nope, his ankle's backwards. Guess we're back to Jimmy now. Oh, Jimmy's injured all over again? Let's put all our faith in the 7th round last pick of the draft, who takes us to the NFC Championship, does a great job, and then dies on the field. Well, no, not going to die, but... Listen, Hassan Reddick was an awful thing for our franchise, and Nick can attest to that. He did the same thing to Josh Johnson and concussed him. So we went through 4 quarterbacks in the span of 1 season, and 2 of them within the span of a half. And so we get rid of a potential 3 good quarterback lineup in the offseason. And don't even get me started on them evaluating talent. Let's go, who were the 49ers first round picks in the last 5 years? Let's go over it. Let's just name a few.
Trey Lance.
Wait, Trey Lance. It's with Dallas now. Solomon Thomas.
Brandon Ayuk.
He was 2nd round.
Was he not? I thought he was a first.
He might have been first round. So I'm thinking Debo. Debo was 2nd round. Okay, Ayuk. Ayuk's doing great. Mm-hmm. We'll take Ayuk. Okay, Trey Lance is now with Dallas. Ayuk is doing great.
Doing well.
Okay, Solomon Thomas.
That was
out
like
of the
last
league.
5 years.
Yes, it was.
That was.
Or he might have been 6.
6?
No,
17.
Whenever Kyle and John.
No, that was 17. I remember because Watson was in.
So let's say 6. So we took Solomon Thomas over Deshaun Watson,
and
Patrick Mahomes. Okay.
And Mitchell Trubisky.
But Mitch really hasn't panned out, let's be real. But then later in that draft, we took Reuben Foster, who looked promising until he kept tearing his ACLs. Okay, whatever. Move past that. Next, let's talk about Mike McGlinchey.
Nick Bosa.
Okay, Nick Bosa, because we absolutely tanked that year. We got hosed in the injury department. We had, I want to say, $180 million worth of players on IR. So, a lot of people injured. Got Nick Bosa. Bosa's doing great. About to get a big contract really soon. Mike McGlinchey, now with the Broncos, because dude couldn't pass block to save his life.
I was about to say that name is like vaguely familiar.
He could run block like.
And I think it's only because I've watched Rams Niners games.
So he couldn't pass block if his life depended on it. Javon Kinlaw hasn't proven himself yet. We're in year 3 of him playing because we drafted him to replace DeForest Buckner.
Oh yeah, it was in 2020.
Yeah, so
I forgot y'all had 2 picks that year.
It's asinine that we have not been able to evaluate first round talent since they got here. It's probably been 2 picks out of the last, let's say, 7 or 8 we've made.
Bosa and Ayuk, yeah.
That's it. Now, granted, we make up for it getting Kittle, Warner. Brock's been really great. Ronnie Bell has been a great preseason addition. But why is it so hard in the 6.5 years to have more than a lukewarm IQ when it comes to first round drafting? We've had CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins, and Trey Lance all come in and out of this franchise as young quarterbacks because they could not suffice. We've had Josh Johnson, Brian Hoyer, and many other veterans come in and out of this franchise because they cannot do what Kyle needs them to. When is it going to be brought to their attention that we can't keep just bringing in projects and near the end of their career mediocre quarterbacks? They're not Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan at least had a little bit of talent compared to Brian Hoyer. Mm-hmm. Compared to CJ Beathard.
I think it's like the same situation Denver has been in, where like since Peyton Manning, they cannot draft in the first round, especially quarterbacks.
And so getting the evaluation away from it, think about it how Trey sees this. Okay, You're fighting for a starting spot. You get injured. Okay, I can fight for next year. Oh, this 7th round rookie comes out of nowhere and takes your starting job. Okay, let's go for QB2. They bring in Sam Darnold as a QB competition, and you get QB3?
Okay, I'll say this. If I were Trey Lance, I would almost feel like I'm deserved at least a shot to start week 1, considering what the Niners...
Brock's healing.
Well, not that, and considering what the Niners gave up to get him.
So any respectable athlete deserves a chance for something like
exactly. Mm-hmm. Then John and Kyle go on TV in front of the media and go, "We expect Trey to be here." Not even 24 hours later, he is being sent to Arlington, Texas. After being said, "We see him in red and gold for the foreseeable future."
Okay, but didn't they end that quote with, we don't have that on our focus right now, though?
Not along those lines, but it was like a we see him here, and then he's gone within a day, and then they go, "Yeah, we failed the kid. We didn't do him justice." Yeah, no fucking shit, you didn't do the kid justice. He's now in Dallas, having to sit behind Dak, knowing this team, knowing our luck, Dak's gonna go down by week 4. Trey's gonna suit up in the stars and stripes for Dallas, play us, the Niners, Sunday Night Football in Santa Clara.
Oh, is that week 1?
Week 5.
May I offer a thought? You think this is a message to Dak instead?
Oh, 100% is. This is 100%. Because Dak, 1, not only plays mediocre, 2, wants a lot of money for it, and 3, Jerry Jones doesn't like paying people. That's why he lost Amari Cooper. It's why he might lose CeeDee Lamb or Micah Parsons or whoever comes up next. He doesn't like paying his players. And the fact that Dak demands so much money to throw double-digit interceptions every year is unfathomable. So you bring in somebody who literally is about within 10 pounds of his weight class and about the same height, who has all the potential in the world to be as good, if not better than where Dak was, it's insane. So this is a message to Dak, but this is an embarrassment to the 49ers. I'm not going to jump ship now. I've seen some bad shit in this franchise, but I'm not going to leave now. But it is absolutely horrendous to see what we've done to this kid and how the league views us now.
I agree. And I think personally the main takeaway for like the NFL, I think it's more of the fact that Dak is kind of on his hot seat. He's kind of like it's a message for Dak, I think, more than a message for 49ers fans, because yeah, you guys gave up a lot to get him in the draft. You knew it was going to be a big risk, especially with his play style. Comes from a smaller school, and like you really don't know with those guys from the smaller conferences. You know, if they're not in a Power 5 conference, what competition do they have? How do you know that they're actually going to hold up playing against the best in the league? So, and I'm not saying that Trey Lance is a bad player by any means, but it's just the gambles that you take when you draft. And so, do I think there was a bit of, I guess, naiveness from the 49ers, you know, sending the house to pick up a guy that you really don't know about? No, he could be the second coming of Joe Montana for all I care, but if he's coming from that small school, you're taking that gamble. And so I think they took the gamble on him. They saw something good in him, just like my Eagles saw from the same school, Carson Wentz. He played well, got injured, and I don't know, maybe they might have seen that and was like, okay, well, same-ish injury. There's a lot of uncertainties. I can draw a lot of comparisons to the 49ers team now and the Eagles team in 2017, 2018. Even with one of the best offensive lines in the league, it's just like you can't prevent injuries, especially with a scrambling quarterback. So I think the 49ers are looking at their situation and realize we've got guys that work. We have 3 quarterbacks that can start on, I'd say, a solid 10, 15 teams in this league. So why, it's like we have the extra, spare talent, and it's just not fair to Trey Lance anymore to just keep him in a situation, especially still having potential to be a really good player. So I don't think this is necessarily something that the 49ers are going to take and look at the situation and be like, wow, like we really suck. We're in a hole. Like you didn't lose anything for this. Like, I mean, yeah, you lost the picks that you originally could have used for really good players. But you also look at the 49ers team, they're making do without those picks. Like they went to the NFC Championship game like 3 times in the last like 5 or 6 years. Like the team is good still, and regardless of which one of those guys are quarterbacks is the quarterback for that team moving forward. I mean it's anybody's guess, but I think it's more of a statement for Dak's job, especially given the fact that he is the league leading interception merchant. Mostly because Matthew Stafford couldn't finish the season. But I think it's also
all right, listen here. Wow. Listen here, motherfucker.
Wow.
I also think that it's just a message for Dak, and personally as an avid 49ers Cowboys hater, I think Trey Lance could fit in Dallas, especially given that Dallas has a better receiving group than the 49ers, and I think Trey Lance might thrive in that offense. But I honestly would like to see what happens with Dak. I think it would be really, really funny, although it's not their priority by any means. It'd be really funny to watch Trey Lance start against the 49ers. I think it'd be hilarious. I also think that it's
Hollywood.
It's like actual script.
It's the league basically writing a script. It's like basically the league writing a script. They knew what they were doing with that, and so
100%.
I think the fit in Dallas is a little questionable given the fact that they are not. This is not their quarterbacks that they go for. They like more pocket passers. So it's an interesting direction for them. It's a very safe pick. What, they traded a third round for that pick?
Fourth round? It was a fourth round.
Fourth round. I mean, they didn't give up much for it, so what's the worst that can happen? I'm just surprised because I saw a lot of reports from Dallas camp saying that they liked Cooper Rush, and I know it's Cooper Rush, but still. That's my piece on that. I mean, I still think that Trey Lance has potential to be a really good quarterback. There's a lot of similarities to that Carson Wentz situation, and I think the 49ers are looking at themselves and saying, hey, unlike the Eagles, we have reliable quarterbacks, so might as well just dump the guy that has the biggest question mark out of them all, because we've seen Sam Darnold be successful. We've seen Brock Purdy be really successful, lead a team deep into the playoffs, so even while injured, he was injured going into that playoffs a little bit. He was a little dinged up, and he kept pushing. He got him all the way to face the toughest defense in the league. So, besides their own defense, like you can't count your own defense, but so Eagles' toughest defense in the league.
I swear to God, I swear to God,
I'll give the respect where it's due.
I looked at Christian when you said that. I was like, he plays it every day.
49ers. I don't think the 49ers have the toughest defense. They have the best defense, but not the toughest.
I don't know how you'd make that argument. Like, I understand it, but I'm also confused by the way you worded it. But like, I get it.
It's not like best in terms of skill. It's just like tough in terms of like no matter where
they kick the shit out of you.
Yeah, they're gonna rock your shit. I mean, regardless of who's on that defense has always been a pound them to the ground defense. I mean, every player that we've had has always had that mentality of lay the biggest boomstick you can, and that's what I mean by toughness. They're not trying to hurt you, but that's the type of defense that they play. It's just like we're gonna work them till they get hurt or something.
Yeah, it's really frustrating from my point of view. Being a fan for so long is watching them take this kid, and he's been so out of the norm. Like, this is our first, I want to say, like, real mobile quarterback since, I want to say, Kaepernick. Like, the kid's big. He's like 6'3", 240, 250. Like, he's a big kid. And you kind of screw his chance, and then when you trade him, you go, yeah, we failed him. We take full responsibility. Like, you just fucked his confidence completely. This kid is now a backup on another franchise after being picked third overall and then being double benched by the franchise that drafted him. Like, if that's not demoralizing, I do not know what is. I might have said that really weird, but...
And he's also on a team with more media pressure.
Arguably, yeah, I would say 100%.
100%. I think they might be the most media pressured team in the league right now.
I think I'd say in the league right now, but I would say at one point I'd lean more towards New England at some points after their like Super Bowl losses, but I mean, like, as of right now, Dallas is just getting grilled day in and day out.
I would also argue that like the team, like whatever team last won the Super Bowl has the most media pressure.
Yeah, but it's Kansas City, dude.
I know, but I'm saying, like, could you imagine what the media reaction would be if, like, let's say Kansas City starts off the season 0-5? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying, like, hypothetically.
Kansas City would.
Because I mean, you saw what the media was like when we started the season off slow, and when we kept.
I guess. I mean, it's just. Yeah, I would have to agree that Dallas is just. You can't win. There's no winning in Dallas. It's a lose-lose all the time. Mm-hmm. Either you do something right and somebody else gets grilled for it, you do something wrong and you're joke of the week until next week when one of your other teammates is getting grilled. Or unless unless you're Trayvon Diggs, in which case you're clowned every weekend.
No, I was gonna say unless you're Zeke and it's the NFC divisional game and you're lined up at center.
Oh, lined up at center. Good Lord, I don't know who Mike McCarthy thinks he is, and I have no idea how Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl under him.
Bro, it just boggles my mind that that's the second time in a row that the Cowboys have had a gaffe to end the year. And it was against the Niners.
Both times. It's just, it baffles me.
I mean, it's First, it was Dak running right up the middle.
Oh yeah, the QB sneak sliding with like
with
9 seconds
10
left.
seconds left and no timeouts.
No idea who thought of that. And then this was arguably worse in my opinion because the game was
they're both really bad.
stupid close, and you put your running back at center.
I mean, I'd say they're both really bad. 'Cause the first one is just very bad clock management.
But this one was just bad play call. Like
Yeah.
it's a touchdown difference, and you call that?
Yeah.
I don't know how you succeed in Dallas, and I really hope Trey gets a shot somewhere. I just hope he like has a good career. Even if, you make a couple $1 million as a backup and kind of retire, yeah, you might be looked at as a bust.
What if
you get generational wealth and kind of just coast into the sunset?
That's
a win in my book.
What if Lance is sent back to California in exchange for Stetson Bennett?
He's not going to the Rams. Stop with these weird power fantasies. None of them are funny.
Wait, no, okay.
Okay, how about Stetson Bennett and a third round pick?
No.
I don't want to... What first round picks?
I said third.
Oh, third? I was going to say, like, I don't think, like, people will call him a bust, like, if he's, like, out completely after being benched for so long, but, like, how about someone that just was just injured, and that was it?
I would still technically, like, in some people's eyes, that's still technically a bust.
I don't know. Me personally, I don't know if I would consider that a bust.
I'd say, like, if he retired after the injury, I think it'd be more like a what if. Or, like, because RG3 I'd say is a what if.
Yeah.
Because RG3 had good years.
Because I definitely would not call RG3 a bust.
No.
Because he was a beast before he got hurt.
Yeah, no, it's just... This is the recordings of a dejected 49ers fan who is more or less depressed until he gets news that Nick Bosa is paid $35 million a year. So we wait till that's... He's not getting traded. What is with these power fantasies? The only reason you're getting a Bosa
Hey, can't a man have dreams?
No.
They look like nightmares.
To you. To me, they look like dreams.
Hey,
Just sounds like you want to
Dreams
mooch
and
off of
Nightmares
everybody
by Meek
else's good
Mill.
players 'cause
I
you
knew
think
y'all
it's-
like
I don't want to
Philly.
hear Meek Mill. Nobody wants Meek Mill.
I knew
Nobody
y'all like
wants Philly.
Philly.
Go
It just-
away.
it is what it
Go away.
is.
I want him out of here. I cannot stand the Meek Mill anymore. I can't take it.
Alrighty.
All right.
Predictions.
Yeah, so I have...
How did we want to do this, by the way? Do we want to go, like, by team? Or, like...
I was planning to go by division.
We could just do division. We could
Yeah,
division
because
together.
when I was at work earlier, I had a little free moment, and so I wrote down my prediction for each division. I didn't get around to doing a full season prediction like I usually do, but I feel like this is good enough. So I'm just gonna start with the AFC, and anyone can throw their 2 cents in when it gets to each division.
Mm-hmm.
So for the AFC West, I have, of course, the Chiefs winning it at number 1. I don't see how you can think any different.
Shocker. Sky's blue.
Chiefs and friends, right?
Yeah. At number 2, the Chargers, which I never have high hopes for.
I can see them taking
but,
a wild card.
Yeah. At number 3, I got Denver. I think they'll do better this year with Sean Payton. The only reason I wouldn't put them at 2 is because I'm not sure if it was just a one-off bad year for Russ or if he's actually like bad now.
Yeah, I'd say give him this year to really determine whether he's washed or not.
Yeah, and then at number 4, I have the Raiders. I do not have any high hopes for this team.
Why? You don't trust Jimmy G and Devontae Adams?
I trust Devontae. I don't know, man.
Jimmy wins games, especially when, regardless of how he does it, Jimmy does win games. He had a very illustrious win.
I just don't trust Josh McDaniels.
That is a fair issue to have. I
Like-
don't trust that man either.
Like, okay, I'll say it like this: if the Raiders' current roster was as it was, but you had Kyle Shanahan in there,
Oh my God,
I'd be
Super
fine.
Bowl.
I'd be fine.
I'd say Super Bowl or bust at
It's
that point.
Josh McDaniels that worries me.
No, because think about it.
Because I still think he was the issue and not Carr.
Yeah. We'll have to actually.
Yeah,
see
that's
this.
a whole different thing.
Um,
AFC North, I got Cincinnati winning that, of course.
Shocker.
Now, number 2, I have the Ravens, which I feel is...
Not surprised. Former
yeah.
MVP coming back at QB.
Yeah, 3 and 4, I'm kind of going back and forth between. Right now, I have the Steelers at 3 and the Browns at 4.
Fair enough.
But I was kind of going back and forth
Ooh,
because I could
that's
see
a
either
take
one
right there.
happening.
I could look like this is a bit of a hot take here. I think I could see that whole division any one of them end up with 10 plus wins. I think all of them could if they really played it right.
What?
I've seen some good stuff from Kenny Pickett so far in the preseason.
I think Pickett's going to have a big jump this year.
I think so too. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up at the second spot. I think Cincinnati's got that number one spot locked down for the most part, but AFC East, this is going to probably be the most interesting division this year. I still have the Bills at number one. And then at number two, put the Jets.
Fair enough.
Number three, Miami, and then at number four, got New England. Yeah,
see, that's crazy how far they've fallen.
It's crazy, but I love it. Dude, it's crazy how just a couple years ago, the Bills and Patriots would have been swapped.
Yeah, no, it's just a couple years. It flipped so fast. Mm-hmm. Especially, all they needed was a good head coach and a decent quarterback.
Yeah,
I think Josh Allen's more than.
Although I've been wanting to say this about the Bills for pretty much since the playoffs. I think if the Bills don't make the Super Bowl this year, they need to address something. Because how long have they had this great roster, great team? They've had Stephon Diggs for a couple years now. They've been able to make it to the AFC Championship, but never passed it. I mean, you had 13 seconds on the clock against Kansas City.
But realistically, there's no other team I think that's Aaron Rodgers versus Dallas that year.
Yeah,
there's you think you have that in the bag, and then some BS comes out of the woodworks, and you go, well, that's the season.
Yeah, I think if they don't at least make it to the Super Bowl, not win it, but just make it, something needs to be evaluated, because I don't see how you can have a team this good with almost zero weak spots and not at least make it.
I mean, they have a pretty solid one at, running back. Their running backs aren't the greatest.
Yeah, but they kind of make up for it with almost everything else.
I guess.
Then AFC South, a division I could not give less of a shit about. I have the Jaguars at 1, Titans at 2, Colts at 3, Texans at 4.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Simple.
NFC West, I have the Niners at number 1.
Good pick.
Seahawks at 2. Of course you would say that.
Interesting. You think Seattle would be better than... You don't think the Rams can compete with Seattle this year?
I have the Rams at 3.
Heck no.
I think... Because we have a very bad locker room in terms of, the young people on the team. Because, I don't know if you saw the thing Stafford was saying. Basically, he can't connect with them because their whole... they're just, completely blocked off from everyone else. They, including each other.
That's not good.
And he's trying to be engaging with them, but they're just yeah. And not to mention going 0-3 in the preseason.
Not good.
I think if our starters are fine. If we don't have another injury-filled year, I think we'll be fine. I think we can compete with the Seahawks. Maybe the Niners. Well, because we've seen what Stafford and Cup can do together.
I'm hearing rumors of that entire team getting absolutely traded to hell. So I don't know about the
Rams
personally.
Unless it comes from Snead or McVay, I don't trust it because I've seen rumors like that before. And they've always been shot down.
We just saw that with Trey Lance and the Niners. They said that he was not getting traded. So what happens? We've never had him for
it's
nothing.
A different organization.
It's a different organization.
Yeah, but
we've never had an issue like that before. When the last time we had a similar the last time we had a similar situation was with Goff. And when McVay was asked, he looked at the camera and said, "Goff is our quarterback right now," which I feel like that can be taken a number of ways, but the general consensus was they're looking for another quarterback.
Yeah,
and then sure enough, a couple weeks later, traded for Stafford.
Just putting it out there, do not trust the higher-ups.
They've been reliable. And same thing. When
I said the same thing about Lynch and Shanahan
but when
a week ago.
Earlier this year, when Ramsey was available, they never said, oh yeah, Ramsey's staying in blue and gold. They are yeah, we're looking at options, and then, of course, he ended up getting traded. I'm just saying, based on their track record, they're not the kind to say, "Oh yeah, this player's going to stay in blue and gold," and then the next day they get shipped off to Seattle.
I think any fan base that's ever said that will eventually get proven wrong, and that's how coach and head GM changes happen. Happens with every team. There's no team excused from that. It doesn't happen. I'm hoping for the sake of the entire Rams organization. But seeing as their rookies can't even agree to play on the same team, I don't know. I think the team might be destined for something a little shaky, but I'm like I said, I hope that they can figure it out and pull it together.
Well, I don't see us trading. I don't see us trading Donald at the very least. I think he's going to retire here. He almost retired after we won the Super Bowl.
That's the player I've seen the most trade buzz around. So
why would we trade a generational talent though?
He's getting old.
He is getting old, but he still produces well.
I've seen a lot of
sacks
players
is not producing well.
He was injured last year. He didn't play a good chunk of the year.
He played 11 games.
That's and then number 4, I have Arizona. I don't know if y'all saw the clip from their new coach. Bro could not motivate me to make a grilled cheese. He
Who's that coach?
I forget his name. The dude that looks like Murr from Impractical Jokers. I think he was the Eagles DC last year. Maybe OC. One of your coordinators.
Gannon?
Yeah, it's Gannon. He's their head coach.
Gannon is the worst defensive coordinator I've ever seen. He literally had one of the best defenses in our franchise history, and let us get absolutely raffle stomped by an injured Patrick Mahomes, and that was not holding, by the way. Anyways, I digress.
And now he's the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, they're coming in 4th. NFC North, these first 3, I'm kind of going back and forth with. At number 1, right as of now, might be a bit of a hot take, but I got Detroit.
Interesting.
Number 2, I got Minnesota.
That's a good pick.
Number 3, Green Bay, and then number 4, Chicago. Honestly, though, the top 3, that whole division, I can see going back and forth. I couldn't really get a lock. This is going to be another really interesting division to look at this year, in my opinion, just because of you have the Packers now. Let's see how well Jordan Love's going to do. He looked decent from what I've seen so far. But yeah, we'll see how the Packers do in their first year without Aaron Rodgers. Maybe they'll end up getting lucky and having 3 straight Hall of Fame quarterbacks right back to back.
3,
we don't know.
Three's crazy. I've never seen anyone pass 2.
I mean, 2 is crazy. Going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. We'll see how Jordan Love does. I'm actually pretty excited to see how he turns out. And then the Bears, I can see them making some leaps too. If anything, I can see them battling for number 2, depending on how well Fields does, because they have made some pretty solid additions this year. NFC East, I have the Eagles at 1, the reigning Super Bowl champions.
Oh,
foul. Oh, boy.
The reigning NFC champions. I have the Eagles at 1, Dallas at number 2. Then I have New York at 3 and Washington at 4. Dallas and New York, I can see going back and forth, but I'm locking the Eagles at 1 and Washington at 4. I don't see those two really changing unless Daniel Jones just balls the fuck out and has a Pro Bowl year, another Pro Bowl year.
Even when he balled out,
even then.
He balled last season. He was pretty solid last season. I mean, I was kind of convinced. I was convinced that he was I was a believer almost, but I just think you have no weapons for him. Danny Dimes can't throw dimes if you have no receivers to catch the ball. So, and they added Evan Ingram. I think was he the addition? They added
I think he's been there. They added Darren Waller.
No, Darren Waller. So they add Darren Waller. So I mean, good pickup there. Top 4 tight end in the league. So great pick. Mm-hmm. But I mean, receivers, I couldn't name a single one on that team.
Sterling Shepard, I think.
I mean, Saquon Barkley. I mean
Saquon.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great, but I don't know. You didn't really make much improvements. So I mean. Hopefully that they could compete with the Cowboys because, God, I'd love nothing more than to see the Cowboys lose. But I think for now, I even saw guys on, like, professionals, like, saying that the Giants could beat the Eagles, and I was like, we absolutely stomped them in the playoffs last season, so I don't foresee them making any strides, even with, everyone keeps saying this Eagles defense got worse, but we literally just had the best defensive player in the draft fall to us, so, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Anyways.
and then at last I have the NFC South, which is another division. Honestly, both of the South divisions I couldn't give like two shits about. But at number 1 I have New Orleans winning that division, and then at number 2 I have Tampa because they're still a pretty solid team. We'll see how well Baker does with them. I mean, obviously it's two different worlds going from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. And then at number 3, I have Atlanta, and number 4, Carolina. I think it'll be interesting to see how well Anthony Richardson does this year. Or wait, no. He's not. No, he's not in Carolina, is he?
Who?
No, he's
Anthony
in
Richardson?
Indianapolis.
No, Indianapolis, that's right. Who's their quarterback again? I know it's a rookie.
Wait, I'm sorry. Your team?
Carolina.
Baker.
Bryce Young.
No, he's in Tampa. Bryce Young, that's right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Bryce Young does this year, but I mean, now that they don't have DJ Moore, who does Bryce Young have as a weapon?
Adam Thielen.
McCaffrey's Adam Thielen. I forgot he went there. Adam
Yeah,
Thielen, I guess.
he's on my fantasy
Yeah,
team. So I'm obligated.
but yeah,
Miles
McCaffrey's
Sanders
gone.
They got Miles Sanders over
Miles
there.
Sanders.
Cooking
Yeah.
with that squad. Nobody
That's
else.
still-
I don't
that's-
know.
That's not. That's still not. Christian McCaffrey, who's not there anymore. DJ Moore is not there anymore. I think they might be a team to watch in the next couple of years, depending on how well they draft and how well they do in free agency and trades. But as of this year, I have them coming in at last. And then Atlanta, similar thing where it's like I'm interested to see how Desmond Ritter's going to do as the starter, but
I think if you want my personal opinion, I think wait. First of all, my computer froze. I must admit, I'm sorry. I did not hear your rankings for the NFC South. Could you just repeat them one more time?
Yeah, at number 1 I have New Orleans, then at number 2 is Tampa, and then Atlanta, and then Carolina at 4.
Who is Tampa's quarterback?
Baker Mayfield.
That's
Okay.
right.
I have Atlanta second. I am a very avid
I can see that.
Baker Mayfield. Well, okay, let me just give like a few points here. I'm a very avid Baker Mayfield hater. I never liked his personality in the NFL. I've heard really bad things from all of the franchises he's been to. He has no work ethic. He is one of the cockiest people of all time. And just because you turn the Browns around one season and take them to the playoffs doesn't mean you're all of a sudden the greatest quarterback. So, with that being said, I think that there's question marks, especially in Tampa, where they're currently dealing with the loss of Tom Brady. So, I also would like to see a Mike Evans 1,000-yard season with Baker as the quarterback. I'd also like to see Chris Godwin stay healthy for a full season. I don't know who their tight end is. Honestly, I really don't. And their running back, Rashad White, I think is their running back, and nobody else. I don't know. I just think the weapons.
Devin White? No.
What?
Hang on. Wasn't it Devin White, or am I
but-
tripping?
I don't know. I think
no,
it's
Devin
Rashad
White's a
White.
linebacker. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Devin White's on the
Yeah.
Bills, I'm pretty sure, or was. So with that being said, I don't know how much I'm really believing in that team. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin aren't getting any healthier or younger. I don't know who their tight end is. Baker Mayfield's a proven loser in the NFL. I don't really have much faith in that team, and their defense is solidly above average, I'd say. But Atlanta, I like what they're cooking over there. They've got Desmond Ridder, who looked phenomenal thus far going into the season. They've got the newest, youngest, best running back in the NFL, Bijan Robinson, to add to Tyler Algier. I don't even know if Cordell Patterson's there, but that's a great tandem they've
I
got
think he's
built
still
in
there.
there. they've got Kyle Pitts. They also have, and I'd like to see Ritter actually use Kyle Pitts. They have an entirely new offense pretty much being built around these guys. So I think I as much as I'd love to say that I could name one off the top of my head, it is almost midnight here, so I don't know if I could really think of a wide receiver for the Falcons at the moment. But I don't know. I just kind of like what they're cooking.
I just checked. Cordell Patterson's still there.
Okay, he's still there. Cool. So I like what they're cooking. So I would just like to see them do. I would just like to see them take a step up. I missed them being really good with Matt Ryan, and I do think that they do have an edge over the Buccaneers, given that Baker is just not quite a winner and I don't think will take him very far. Also, the Saints, very scary team to watch.
I was gonna say, that's a fairly solid team. I mean, you got Derek Carr going in there now, and say what you will about him, but he's got a lot of playing experience, including some playoff experience. He's led 2 teams to the playoffs. Would have been 3, but that's a whole different. That's a whole different thing. Michael Thomas, who, I mean, the man is made of glass, but
Mr. Slant Boy.
If he doesn't, if Slant Boy doesn't get injured this year, I think the Saints can do some damage. And
they also have
Kamara's
Chris
not
Olave
there anymore, is he?
They also have Chris Olave.
Oh yeah, Chris Olave. Yeah, and then I don't remember if Kamara's still there or not.
Kamara's there. He's suspended for the first 3 or so games, but they also have Jamal Williams. So
that's right. They just got Jamal Williams. Yeah, I think New Orleans is the best looking team in that division. The only thing I'm
good.
not
really good.
Yeah, defense is solid. The only thing I'm not too sure about is Dennis Allen as their head coach. I mean, he's only had 1 year. And he does have that connection with Carr, being the head coach in Oakland when Carr was first drafted. But his stint as the head coach in Oakland was god-awful. And that could also be attributed to, just the state of the Raiders at the time. I mean, that being said, the Raiders did draft Carr and Khalil Mack while he was there. I don't know if he had any say in those or not. But the teams themselves, like how they performed during the season, were not good. I think they went 4-12 1 year and then 3-13 the next. I mean, maybe more coordinating experience has given him a better he'll have a better chance as a head coach now. But yeah, that's the only thing I'm kind of iffy about. But we'll see we'll see what happens. But I'd say New Orleans is the best looking team in that division right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I agree with the rest of your rankings. I didn't really get a chance to say something. The only I was seeing a lot of buzz around the AFC North this year, and I think honestly, Bengals got that locked up, but 2 through 4, it's just going to depend on who's healthy and who's just on fire, because all of those teams have legitimate claims for 2. So I'd like to see
that's what I was. That's what I was kind of saying earlier. Was that I have the Bengals locking that division for sure, but 2 through 4, that can be anyone. As of right now, I have Ravens, Steelers, Browns in that order. But again, I can see Cleveland getting that second spot or Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like Pittsburgh. I just like what they got cooking. The Pickett to Pickens line is going to be on fire this season. And I'm really happy to see what Najee gets to do this season, because he really did not do anything last year. So I'd like to see what that team can do. So also, the Steelers haven't had a losing record in the past, 15 seasons? So, I mean... Something
like that. I don't think Tomlin's ever had a losing season.
Tomlin's never had a losing team, and I really don't think that this is going to be the team. I think it's going to be like the NFC East last year, where 3 out of the 4 teams makes the playoffs, and one of them goes very deep. I don't know if one of them is going to go deep, but I think
probably
3
Cincinnati.
of the 4 teams could easily make the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Yeah. So, with that, shall we get rolling into
Let's move on to
some
baseball?
All right. So I got a few little topics here to talk about for baseball. I got about 8 little bullet points. And the first one I wanted to talk about, I know it's a little cheesy and might not be the most popular take here, but the Baltimore Orioles, they are cooking. Like, absolutely cooking. They have taken that entire AL East by storm. They're a solid 2 games above the Rays. They're not looking back. They're 7-3 in their last 10. Looking phenomenal. Unbelievable. And that team is younger and faster than most other teams. So they're on my list of rise. Also another team that's on the rise. We've been talking about them for the past few weeks, but the Seattle Mariners, they're unbelievably hot right now. It's also 7-3 in their last 10. They're tied for first in the division with the Astros. That team is not slowing down. I actually think they might be ahead of the Astros only because they have a game in hand.
I'm looking at the records right now. They're tied.
They're
Seattle
tied, but
76.
Seattle has a better win percentage. So I think it's just because they play 2 less games.
Yeah.
So that's why they're kind of ranked the same. But nonetheless, Seattle absolutely cooking there. But I also wanted to mention the Rangers are in a mad slump right now. They've fallen below Houston and Seattle in that division. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games, including I think it was a 10-game losing streak, something of the nature. And they're just falling. I just think that team is struggling to stay healthy. But, who's not slowing down? Corey Seager. Easily their shining star right now.
I was going to say, that being said, they're still only 1 game behind.
Yeah,
so they still have a lot of time to turn. They still have a lot of time to turn it around, and they could very well end up taking that division still.
That division's pretty much anyone's game, honestly, and especially with, the way the Angels and Oakland are just falling and falling and falling.
Yeah, just
anyone
except
game.
Anaheim and Oakland.
Yeah, it's not anyone's game, but I'm saying with those 2 teams absolutely tanking, any one of those 3 could win the division. The other 2 are probably going to make wild card. Like, realistically, that's just how that's going to turn out. That kind of sucks if you're, Tampa Bay honestly might be another wild card, and I think those are just locked right now. But like I said, Seattle and Baltimore absolutely on fire right now, and the Rangers not so much. So hopefully they can turn it around for their sake. But the third and final team that I kind of want to hype up right now is the NL Central Division leaders, the Milwaukee Brewers, who are 8-2 in their last 10 games. They are cruising. They just beat the Phillies tonight. This team is hot. I don't know why they're hot. I haven't seen much about them. But they're just heating up at the right time, and that team could be very exciting to watch, especially going into the playoffs. It is seeming now, especially with how the Cubs and the Reds are doing, that they're kind of going to pull ahead in that division. So I'd like to see the Brewers have a good playoff run, especially because that team has a lot of potential, and that pitching staff is really scary. So that's a team I kind of wanted to hype up a little bit. My next point is Trey Turner on the Phillies is playing so out of his mind right now. There's a lot of players that are playing out of their mind right now, but Trey Turner, a player who had probably one of the worst starts to his season, as pretty much most players do not ever play this bad to start the season. Phillies give him a standing ovation, really show that, hey, city's behind your back, we really got you. Ever since then, he's been on an absolute tear. He's batting .435. He's got 5 home runs in his last 7 games, a 1.636 OPS, 14 RBIs, and only 3 strikeouts in his last 7 games. unreal numbers right there, and he's showing that he found his plate discipline because he was striking out a ton, swinging at the worst pitches, like Javi Baez type swinging at pitches. And he literally looks like me at MLB The Show. Not even gonna lie, he looked like me at all. And then now he's really turned it on, kicking into high gear, and thus the Phillies have found some success. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Of course, they just lost their last 2, including the one against Milwaukee that I mentioned earlier. But that team is exciting right now. They lead the NL in home runs in the month of August. But I guess now that August is over, they led the NL in home runs. So that's a really good story there. The next one I have is a series to watch. Already given some firework endings is the Dodgers and the Braves. 2 juggernauts in the MLB, real big juggernauts. I mean, that's just, 2 fun teams to watch play against each other. I love to watch them go back and forth.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you have the two front runners for National League MVP going at it.
I'd say 3. Because I'd say Freddie's in there too.
Yeah, I can see that, but most of the conversation I've seen has been between Mookie and Acuna.
Yeah.
No. Last night's game was a thriller. Tonight's game, not looking like it right now. It's 6-0 Atlanta at the top of the 8th. Yeah.
Who started?
Not looking great.
It's Urias versus.
Oh, it's Urias.
Oh.
Well, I see Ferguson is in now. Yeah, Urias started the game. Yeah. He hasn't had a great year. I don't know what's up with Urias.
When he came back from injury a few weeks ago, he looked pretty solid.
He's had some good games. Yeah, he's had some good games, but overall, he's had a really down year this year.
Oh yeah, I've seen Gonsolin has not been pitching nearly as well this year too. So
yeah, he's
Tommy John.
Yeah, and then as Christian just said, he's about to get Tommy John. Yeah,
it's truly sad. I feel bad for
on the plus side, the Dodgers have Kershaw back from injury.
Yeah. They're about to get Walker back. He's starting his rehab.
Yeah, Walker's starting his rehab. Probably won't see any playing time this year. Probably not this year. Probably won't see any playing time in the playoffs. But I think he'll be.
But
maybe if we make it like
NLCS, maybe. Still got another month until the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. Either way, though, he'll be ready to go by next season. Dustin May and Shohei will go crazy.
That's the thing is Dustin May's got to stay healthy, and you don't even know what Shohei's going to do.
Yeah,
Shohei might not even play next season.
That's true. Well, he's still batting right now, so at the very least,
he's still batting right now. But like you said, you were talking about pitching rotation. He can't pitch until he gets that shoulder, elbow.
I think it's his elbow.
Once he gets that elbow surgically repaired, he ain't pitching. No offense, but he ain't.
Yeah, I think I saw something earlier saying that he didn't want Tommy John or he just hasn't opted in for it yet or something like that. But
he probably wants to finish the season as a batter, especially because he's having one of the best batting seasons. He's pretty much a lock for that AL MVP. So I think he's just going to continue that. He's going to be kind of like Bryce Harper last season. They had to move him straight to DH because he just couldn't field because of his elbow. And then Bryce Harper got Tommy John at the end of the season and missed a few months of the regular season this year. So
so if anything, he'll probably still bat next season, but. Yeah, I don't know if we'll get to see Shohei pitch
probably won't.
much
If he gets Tommy John, he won't bat for a solid 2-3 months.
Yeah, but
still can't bat.
Assuming he gets it once the Angel season ends, October, then I think he might be ready to bat by the time next season rolls around. Pitching though, he's at the very least won't pitch until the tail end of next season.
And I feel like whatever team ends up getting him, I think they're going to take it very cautiously, especially with the nature of the injury and how Shohei is literally a double-edged sword and how valuable he can be. You're going to want to protect him at all costs.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so the next thing I want to talk about is one debut tonight, and that is the New York Yankees' number 2 prospect, formerly ranked top 5 prospects in the entire MLB, Jason Dominguez. He made his debut tonight, and one thing of note, he hit a bomb off of Verlander tonight for his first career home run in his first career game. So caps off to him. Absolutely great debut. Hitting a home run off a Hall of Famer.
Going on for New York right now.
The only thing going on for New York right now, to be completely honest. That team is not looking too great. But our favorite player, Aaron Judge, came back recently. Yeah, it's pretty sad, but
18 games behind, yeah.
Yeah, their season might
been 80s, right?
Something like that.
Their season might not be quite over because Aaron Judge is back and hitting 2 to 3 home runs a game. He just hit his 250th home run, and he set the record for fastest time to 250 home runs, which is 810 games, which clears the next by over about 40 games, I'm pretty sure. So, insane stat there. But also, Harper hit his 300th home run a few days ago, and that was in his 1400th game. So, if you think about the difference between 250 and 300 for Judge and Harper, it's almost double to get 50 more home runs. So, just kind of puts into perspective how crazy Aaron Judge is at hitting home runs. That guy does not stop. And then my last point is I just want to talk about Acuna setting records yet again. 30 home runs and 60 stolen bases. I've never
First time, right?
First time in MLB history. I never thought that was even possible. I didn't think a player that fast and that sneaky could get to hit 30 home runs. And who knows how many more he hits and how many more bags he steals because there's still another month to play.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and that's all I got for some baseball recap.
Be a nice last month of regular season baseball to watch, especially with the Braves and the Dodgers, Baltimore cooking up the American League there, and just all the other fun stuff with Seattle and the American League West. Okay, the last thing that we want to take over here, I didn't even get to say that we were going to cover Auston Matthews' contract before that catastrophic meltdown from the beginning. But yeah, so we didn't get a chance to really cover this. Auston Matthews signs a $13.25 million contract for AAV, I should say, over 4 years over in Toronto. And good for Matthews, I would say, I guess. But the one thing that pointed out to me immediately, other than the most money being paid to someone in a season, is that he's not signing with them long term. So I would let me also just say this, that the Leafs wanted him for more than 4 years. Obviously, I wouldn't see how anyone wouldn't want Matthews more than 4 with just 4 years. But Matthews' camp said no. Max amount is 4 years, and if you can't get it together within that amount of time, well, guess what? I'm gone by however old he gets, like 31, I think. But it just on top of this cap situation that the Leafs have there, just what do they do? Like who's going? Like it's got to be Nylander, right?
You would think Nylander's going, but at this rate, you need to shed more cap than that. So the question is which one of the two big three are going, Tavares or Marner? Because that's the only way that they can make the cap work, unless maybe you start shedding some depth. But I mean, I feel like you wouldn't want to do that. Maybe get rid of one of your, studs and maybe one other smaller piece. But as it sits right now on Cap Friendly, they're 13 million on above the cap. So they need to start shedding quick. And I know that's an extension that doesn't kick in until 2024. I guess until after this next season. So yeah. I don't know necessarily how much that correlates, if that number, that $13 million number is correct. But if it is, I mean, you gotta shed pretty hard. Because you also have to deal with a number of your middle of the pack players that are just out of their contracts at the end of the season. Because, you've got Nylander out of a contract, Bertuzzi's out of a contract, Domi's out of a contract, TJ Brody, John Klingberg, Mark Giordano, all out of contracts at the end of the season. So
I think that they're gonna trust their either they're gonna trust their farm that much, or Tree Living is going to be cooking up something real quick to fix this cap situation. I don't see an easy way out of this. I mean, other than saying pack your bags to Marner and Nylander. That would set Toronto on fire. I mean, already,
it would send the city sprawling.
Yeah, already, you gotta do something. You know what I mean? You gotta let one of those core four people go. And Nylander is looking like he's gonna be the one that goes due to his contract talks with the team have stalled because Nylander thinks he deserves $10 million apparently, which I personally disagree with. But they can't ice this team until they fix it, and it's the 1st of September, the day we're recording this, and I don't know. I don't know.
They gotta figure that out.
Tree Living has to have some kind of cork board with a bunch of rubber bands and images, some crazy shit like that to really get it going. Yeah. But it'll bring an excitement to the end of the off season for the NHL. At least for one of the big markets out there that gets gets oversaturated completely.
A lot of attention.
I can go on and on about that, but just personally, it'll be interesting. We're going to see a lot of blockbuster movement around here. All right then. So that does it here for us at Fourscore Sports Podcast, your play-by-play source. I'm Christian, joined here with Spencer, Michael, and Nicholas, and we will see you next week. Thank you for listening, and have yourselves a good day.